Hi everyone. Today I'm going to talk on how to find the day of a week, any weekday, based on any date that you would want to find which weekday in a year it will fall in. This is a calculation that often comes in exams, in certain kind of competitive exams, and that's why I find it to be very interesting. It's also important, if you want to find which weekday it will fall from a few years from now on for any kind of reasons for celebration or anything. So in order to how to find the day of the week based on the date in any year, there are two main methods that I'm going to discuss. One is the Zellers method, following the Zellers rule, and other one is the key method. And we are going to discuss how easily we can actually find the weekday based on the date of the year. So let's get started. Let's consider a date which in our purpose we will consider August 10, 2020. So August 10, 2020 is a Monday, right? Now I want to find which day in the week it will be when the date is August 10 in the year 2021. Now in a year there are 365 days and there are 7 days in a week. However, in leap years we have 366 days. But let's consider the duration between August 10, 2020 and August 10, 2021. In between this duration, there are 365 days. We will divide 365 by the number 7, which is the number of days in a week. This will give us a quotient which is 52, and the remainder will be 1. In order to know which weekday it will fall, in August 10 of the year 2021, we need to add one weekday to the current weekday that we have. In this case, the current weekday we had considered was Monday of August 10, 2020. Adding one day to it would be a Tuesday, and August 10, 2021 would be on a Tuesday. Okay. So simply add the remainder that you have to the initial weekday you had to begin with. So if you have the remainder 1, you will add 1 to your current initial weekday you have. In this case, Monday was the initial day. To that, if I add 1, it will be the next day from Monday, which is a Tuesday. Okay. This is for a normal span of a year of 365 days. However, for a leap year, if you have 366 days, if the span is including the month of February with 29 days, in that case, 366 divided by 7 would give a remainder of 2, and you would have to add 2 days to your initial date. To understand it better, let me take you to the next example. In my next example, we know the date of 2020, August 10, the weekday is Monday. Now we want to know what will be the weekday on August 10, 2024. That is 4 years from the current date of August 10, 2020. So in this case, the first 3 years have 365 days. The last year has a February with 29 days, and that means that year span has 366 days. So we consider the total number of days and we have to divide it by 7. So for the first 3 years you have 365 days. So you will multiply 3 to 365 divided by 7. To this you will add for the last 366 days, 366, that will be also divided by 7. If you do this calculation, then for the quotient, you will have 52 as the quotient for the first 3 years and also 52 as the quotient for your last year that had 366 days. Okay, so that means you have 52 multiplied by 4 as your quotient. As the remainder, you would have one remainder from each of the first 3 years. So 1 into 3, that makes 3 for the first 3 years. And for the last year of 366 days, you have 2 as a remainder for that last 1 year. So 3 plus 2 would make it 5. Now, as I had told in the previous slide of how we consider the date for a 1 year period, so it would be like 1 day from your initial date if the number of days is 365 days. Similar to here, since you have a total remainder of 5, it would be 5 days from your weekday that you are considering. So from Monday, we will have to calculate 5 days. So it would be Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. So 5 days from the initial date would lead you to a Saturday. August 10 in 2024 will be a Saturday. Try to use some other day, any date that you would think of, and calculate it and see if you can come up with the correct date, and leave the comments below. Now let's discuss about an easier rule if you do not have an initial date to consider, that what will be the weekday for that specific date. There are two methods of calculating this. One is the Zellers rule and the other one is the key method. Personally, I think Zellers rule is easy, and I would discuss why I think so as with respect to the key method. So for Zellers rule, what you have to first do is you have to follow this formula. You need to memorize this formula. To me, memorizing this formula is easier than memorizing the formula that we have for key method. For Zellers rule, let's consider a specific unknown value. We will call this f. Okay. To calculate f, what do we need? We need the day. In that date you have, we need the month number. So what will be the month number for January? What will be the month number of February? So on and so forth. Okay. And we will come to the month number in a few minutes from now. We have to take the last 2 digits of the year. So for 2020, the last 2 digits would be 20. For 2021, the last 2 digits would be 21. And then we have to take the first 2 digits of the century. Okay. So if it was 1920, the first 2 digits of the century would be 19. If it is 2020, the first 2 digits of the century would be 20. Okay. So let's get back to the example that we had, August 10, 2021. In this date, what is the day number? The day number here is 10. Now, the complicated part over here could be the month number. And the reason why I am saying it is it might be complicated because it follows the Roman calendar method, by which March is the first month. So March would be 1, April would be 2, May would be 3, June 4, July 5, so on and so forth, till February becomes the month number 12. Okay, this is an important point for using the Zellers rule, and make sure to remember it. March is the first month in the Roman calendar. Okay, so once you know that, then it is easy to calculate which month will be August. So in our case, August has the month number 6 instead of 8 that we consider in our current calendar system. Okay. The last two digits of the year, since we are considering the year 2021, the last two digits of the year is 21. And the first two digits of the century, this is 20 in case of 2021. Here when you calculate based on this formula, just to tell you, the easiest way when you calculate this, irrespective of if you are calculating it by your calculator or by your hands or mentally, just consider the quotient. Do not consider the remainder that comes out of any fractional values. Okay. So let me go ahead and show you what I mean. So in this case, you can see that I would have 77 divided by 55 for my month number calculation part to find out the value of f. If I consider the quotient would be 15, but it would have some remainder along with it. Okay, the remainder would have been 2, but I would not consider that remainder for my calculation. So I would just take the quotient value. So once you have done your calculation, you would get a specific value of f. Once you have the value of f, the next thing you need to do is divide the value of f by 7. Okay, there are 7 days in a week, and for each weekday, this remainder value that you are going to get is going to correspond to a specific weekday. Okay. In this case, the remainder value is 2. And for weekday calculations, we consider Sunday to be a 0, Monday to be a 1, Tuesday to be a 2, so on, so forth. So eventually, if you look in this table of weekday to remainder value, you can actually know what your remainder value would correspond to the weekday. Here my remainder value was 2, and that corresponds to a Tuesday. So this is a specific way of calculating any unknown date that you have in your hand. Try this method on any date of your preference and let me know how that goes. Now let us try the key method. A lot of people prefer the key method, and it's pretty simple. The reason why I do not prefer key method is because for the key method, each month has a key value, and there is basically no pattern that I could find between the month and the key value associated with the month. This makes it hard for me to memorize the months with respect to key value. But if you love memorizing, or if you find this to be a preferable method, I would suggest that please do follow the key method versus to the Zeller's method of finding the weekday for any unknown date that you have in your hand. So beginning with our usual example of August 10, 2021, first what we have to do here is we take the last two digits of the year. Here the last two digits of the year was 21. We divide it by 4. Here also remember just to take the quotient. So 21 divided by 4 will give you 5. Remember to take the quotient, not the remainder. Then to that add the day of the month. So in this case the day value was 10. So we would add the 10 to the quotient of what you got from the first step of dividing the year digit by 4. That will make it 15. Then we add the key value of the month. Okay. So in this case, August had a key value of 3. So if you add 3 to it, then the total value comes down to 18. For key method, there is another crucial point to remember. You have to add a century code. And this is another part in the key method that you would have to memorize along with the key values that are already present for the months. You might not be able to follow the month and the key value in this video itself, so I would put down the month and the key values for the key method in my description box for you to easily find it. Now for the century codes, every 400 year will have the same century code. So for 1700 you will see that the century code is 4. For 2100 the century code as well is 4. For 1800 the century code is 2. For 1900 it is 0. For 2000 it is 6. So you need to memorize this century code. 2000 would be a 6. 2400 would also be a 6. So every 400 year the century code repeats itself. Okay. So in this example we will add the 6, making this 24. Now to this we add the last 2 digits of the year again, which is 21. To the sum total of that, which is 45 now, we divide this sum total by 7. 45 divided by 7 gives a quotient of 6, making the remainder 3. In order for finding what this remainder corresponds to the weekday, we have to follow the weekday in the key method, which is actually different from the weekday finding in Zeller's method. So if you remember in Zeller's method, the way for calculating it started with Sunday to be 0. However, for key method, the weekday Sunday corresponds to the number 7 and Monday corresponds to the number 1. So Monday will be 1, Tuesday will be 2, Wednesday will be 3, Thursday will be 4, so on so forth till Sunday, which is 7. So in this case, for our remainder where we found it to be 3, the weekday would be a Tuesday. So now friends, by all these different methods, I have shown you how we can calculate the day of the week on any specific date of your interest. It's easier to calculate when you start with an initial date of your reference. So if you know what today's date it is, and then if you consider for any unknown number of days before a specific date of your interest, it is pretty easy to calculate. But if you don't want to go through that long method, you can follow the Zeller's method or the key method. And these two methods, all you need to know is any specific date. You can plug it into the formulas and find which weekday those dates will fall into. This is a pretty easy example, and you can try to do this for your date of interest, and please leave your comments. Thank you for watching this video, and let me know how it went for you, which method you found it to be easier. I would love to hear your responses, and please subscribe to my channel and let me know if you like this kind of videos, and let me know what other kind of things you would like to see. Thank you.